This is the story or anecdote I'm going to tell you next. It happened to me about a year ago, and some of my friends encouraged me to share it with you. It didn't happen to only me, it happened to several of us. In total, it was a group of 6 people, but without a doubt, I was the one who got the worst of it during those days. This happened in Guanajuato during a trip I made with my friends for the Cervantino Festival. I've been to that city several times. It's beautiful, full of history and legends, but I had never had the chance to attend the Cervantino. Last year, a great opportunity came up. The uncle of one of my friends had a house that was empty. Usually he rents it, and my friend convinced him to rent it to us for a weekend at a practically ridiculous price. The whole point was to go to the festival. Once he told us, we all agreed, we pooled money, and we went expecting it to be our best weekend of the year. When we arrived, we were surprised by how central the house was, how big it was, the care with which it had been built and preserved. The decoration had a slightly Baroque style, full of figures that looked handcrafted, artistic. Nothing in there seemed repeated. Everything felt unique, like it had its own spirit, its own identity. Real pieces of art. We got there early. We spent some time amazed at the house, and of course at the feeling of being in a place like that, paying less than we would pay at a hostel. Then we decided to go for a walk. I had been sick with the flu a few days earlier, and I was barely recovering. The trip by car didn't sit well with me, so I told them I would take a shower and then catch up. I tried to relax and get my strength back, feeling alone in the house as I lost myself in my thoughts in the shower. I started turning over problems I had at home, and for a moment I felt surprisingly optimistic, like nothing really mattered that much. Then someone turned on the water at the sink. "Hey, wait, I'm almost done," I heard. I didn't know if it was my roommate or one of the girls playing a joke. But of course I wasn't going to walk out naked. I noticed I'd forgotten the towel. If they were messing with me, they'd force me out that way. "Hey, pass me a towel, please," I said. No one answered. I finished rinsing my hair when I clearly heard someone stand up from the toilet and open the bathroom door to leave. "Hey, seriously, calm down, I'm almost out," I said, closing the shower. I had to get the towel. If one of the girls was trying to prank me, she was going to be the one shocked when she saw me the way God made me. "I'm coming out, okay?" I said, and as I at least dried my feet with the rug in front of the toilet, I noticed something that made me freeze. There were footprints on that rug, still wet, like whoever had been there came out of the shower and then walked toward the bedroom. The footprints were small. The left one looked like it didn't fully land, like the foot wasn't complete. And when I say small, I mean it seriously. Prints that shouldn't be more than about 8 or 9 centimeters long. While I was trying to understand what I was seeing, I heard someone walk slowly, from the beds toward the bedroom door, like they were heading into the hallway. The bathroom door was slightly open, because it didn't close properly, and it let me see a shadow passing by as someone left the room. I got chills. Whoever was messing with me was doing it at the exact moment I felt emotionally fragile. And I know this because it scared me to the bone. I stepped out. I closed the bedroom door. I dried off and got dressed quickly. Since I hadn't unpacked yet, I even put the clothes I'd been wearing before I showered, anything so I could get out fast. When I grabbed my phone and walked toward the bedroom door, I heard something on the other side. It was horrifyingly clear, someone moving closer right outside the door. I don't know how to explain it. It felt like I could hear it even inside my head. I called one of my friends and told him I was out but couldn't find them. I asked if someone could come by and check the house, because I was terrified. Of course I didn't say the whole truth. At that point, the idea that it was a prank had already disappeared. I just wanted to get out of there with someone else. I stared at the door. I was afraid to touch it to lock it, but I was ready in case it suddenly opened. A few moments later, I heard voices, my friends, entering the house, laughing. They were laughing, but I knew it wasn't the sound of a joke. We weren't the kind of friends who prank each other like that, and certainly not with something that heavy. When I heard them in the hallway, I opened the door. There was nothing there. I walked to them and, without explanations, begged them to go outside because I was starving. As we moved near the front door, the feet of a large figure of Jesus on the cross caught my attention. It was a big figure, solidly made, and one of the feet looked incomplete, chipped, like a piece had been torn off. I felt ice water run down my back. I remembered the footprints, the tiny ones I'd seen on the rug. And yes, I know what some of you might be thinking. I'm Catholic, I don't fear Jesus, but when this happened, the first thing that came to mind was something my older aunt used to tell me. Sometimes spirits, negative energies, or beings from the low astral, however you want to call them, are drawn to objects that we attach our feelings and attention to. That's why there are so many stories about dolls moving or changing places, and why some people claim they hear them talk at night. In that sense, religious figures can act like a magnet for the kind of attention and emotion people give them, like how a toy can be tempting to a small child. I didn't want to think about it then. I tried to convince myself to ignore everything and enjoy the festival. For most of the day, I managed to forget. I stayed distracted until we returned at night. When we walked back around the street where the house was, I realized I would have to spend the night there. The idea suddenly didn't feel so good anymore. At night, the house, elegant, almost colonial in the day, looked gloomy and intimidating. I talked with my friends very late. Nothing out of the ordinary happened at first, beyond footsteps in the hallway near the patio, voices that sounded like they were coming from empty rooms, and muffled laughter in the dark. Of course, we were drinking mezcal, and we unconsciously blamed it on noise from the street. The street looked totally empty when we came back, but at the time we didn't see it clearly. Eventually, it was time to sleep. We were exhausted. I went into my bedroom with my roommate and fell asleep almost instantly. A few minutes later, the light from the bathroom turned on, shining through a gap in the slightly open door, and it woke me up as the light hit my face. I heard something inside. Noise, steps, keys opening, water running. And running, and running. I kept hearing the steps. I could even see a silhouette moving inside. Maybe it was my imagination, but I hated it when people wasted water. I couldn't stand it. I yelled to my friend, asking what was happening, why the keys were left open. "Here I am," he replied from the other bed, revealing his face. He was scared too, because he'd been hearing the same sounds. He thought it was me in the bathroom. We bolted up and ran without thinking. I turned on the light, but before I could fully react, he lunged toward the bathroom, trying to surprise whoever was inside, like we were in a horror movie. I went in behind him, and the bathroom was empty. Only running water. Just the two of us. We shut the door. He decided to wake our other roommate, the owner's nephew. For some stupid reason, I turned the light off and tried to lie down for a minute. I was still dizzy, not sure if it was from exhaustion, mezcal, or the scare I'd already had. Then I saw it. In the corner of the room, in the darkness, there was a silhouette. A barely visible figure, almost blending into the corner, hunching its shoulders up in a horrible way. I stayed still, terrified even to move and reach for my phone. It started moving toward me, but not like in horror movies, running fast. It moved with little jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4 small hops, until it was almost right in front of me. I closed my eyes and, calculating the distance, I ran toward the door. When I reached it, my roommate was already there, coming into the room at the same time as the owner's nephew. After he mocked me a bit for leaving in just my underwear, he told us to calm down. "Strange things always happen here," he said, "but nothing to worry about. No one has ever been killed here." Still skeptical, and with very little trust, my friend and I told him we were okay, and that we would go for a walk. but in the end, we fell asleep on a bench just 2 streets away. The next day, we paid for an expensive hotel room, but at least we could sleep. Later, once we had time to explain why we hadn't stayed the whole night in the house, we realized we weren't the only ones who experienced strange things that weekend. One of my friends, whose room faced that kind of inner garden by the door, full of figures including the cross, had an observation. She said she didn't see that figure when we arrived or when we left. But she insists that when we came back at night, the cross was empty. And unless she had mistaken something, the cross stayed empty the entire night. She saw it multiple times from her door while stepping out to smoke,